Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So TMZ apparently has this TMZ Investigates on Hulu, right? We're about to review their investigation on JLO because y'all have been hitting me up and telling me, Rabbit, you got to look at it. I said, sure, why not? So I'm gonna play portions of it, and I'm gonna have to heavily edit this because I don't want to get copywritten and just give commentary to what TMZ reported. Let's go.
Ben's been looking miserable in public.
Ben can say that he has resting, depressed face all he wants, but I also think he's going through a lot.
Yeah, his face says it all. I think that Ben has the worst face. Now, let me just say this. TMZ interviews Dr. Mann. I think her name is Jennifer Mann. Dr. Jennifer Mann. Dr. Jen, that's who I remember her as when she was in Celebrity Rehab. Interviews Dr. Phil and Dr. Drew, the three doctors that are the go-tos for anything celebrity related, right? I think that these doctors have lost a lot of credibility. As long as Dr. Charles Sophie doesn't stop by on this thing, I think we should be fine. But I feel some type of way about the Dr. Phil, about Dr. Drew. They think they're pieces of shit, and they're TMZ's go-to. So I don't give a lot of credibility to those individuals.
Ben's been addicted for decades. So JLO starting an alcohol company? Well,
if he's struggling, that's kind of a bad feel to it, doesn't it?
You know what? That is such an interesting point. The lady has a alcohol company, and Ben Affleck is an alcoholic. That can't be a good thing. But then again, I'm assuming that everything's okay, right? There shouldn't be issues there, right?
The 2-year marriage of Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck is coming apart at the seams. He's moved out. They're selling the $60 million mansion they bought a year ago, and they're clearly headed for divorce. But there were warning signs from the beginning, and anyone who missed them just wasn't looking.
Harvey Levin, you are I cannot. I mean, isn't he an attorney? Attorney, entertainment attorney, commentator. What happened to Harvey Levin? He don't even look like he can keep his eyes open sometimes. I'm just saying.
Does it surprise you that Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's marriage is on the rocks?
No, it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately. I have deep compassion for these two, but unless they make...
You don't know them, Dr. Drew. You, stop it. Every psychiatrist is saying it doesn't surprise me. I mean, are y'all saying anything we don't already know? We know. It doesn't surprise anybody.
Getting to understand that what I love you, sex, intimacy, where does it all fit together? And if you don't understand where it fits together, then there's no way to come together.
Oh my God. They use one of her old producers to give commentary about her love life. Okay. I mean, I guess.
Ben has been spotted without his wedding ring, and even more significant, when the couple has been seen together lately, things seem, let's just say, a bit icy.
I don't understand about the whole wedding ring thing. Not everybody wears a wedding ring. Can we just let go of that? It doesn't necessarily mean that they're divorced or they're separating. Sure, not wearing it. Oh, well. Now, as far as Ben's irritated face, there's been a lot more irritated faces that I've seen on Ben while he's been with JLO than Jennifer Gardner. Just observation.
It felt like we had good chemistry, you know what I mean? He liked to improv. I could improv back, you know what I mean? He's the best person to improv in the whole entire business, really. He's so
Don't be
funny.
like my mom.
I'm your
Where you're
mom now.
don't do that thing where you're like, he's the best.
He
He's
is
so
though.
good.
I
and
swear
people
I'm
are
not the
like,
only one who says it.
I mean, they were cute together. I didn't care for Geely. That was a horrible movie, but they were cute together, back in the day.
He proposed with a stunning $2.5 million pink engagement ring.
Are you engaged? Yeah. It's the most magnificent thing I've ever seen.
Did she give that pink ring back? What'd she do with that pink ring? That thing was cute. It was one of a kind, Did she get it back when she married him again? What did they do with that ring back in whatever 2005?
I still look at it and kind of marvel at it you know.
We broke up 3 days before our wedding. And we had like a big wedding plan, like 14 ushers and bridesmaids. And 3 days before, we just crumbled under the pressure. All my friends, they told me, that I needed a break. I should spend some time alone. I didn't.
Well, lesson not learned.
Yeah, she didn't. And then also in the movie, what she said was that when she was separated from Ben, she couldn't talk. She went years without talking.
Because I didn't just feel like I lost love of my life. I felt like I lost like the best friend that I ever had.
What?
And I couldn't talk to him for so many years.
But we heard you talking.
That was the hardest part.
No, what? You didn't.
I used to think that.
When were you quiet? Jennifer, why are you
everybody
lying?
else
That was bullshit, because she was talking a lot. She was in interviews, she was doing, press stuff. Like, she was talking. She was doing movies. She didn't just stop talking, y'all. Like, yeah, just putting that out there.
Because just like before, Jen didn't take a break. She married Mark Anthony 5 months later.
Now, TMZ, this is where you miss the mark on this right here, the situation. Mark Anthony was married to Dayanara. They married, I think, 4 days after his divorce was finalized with Dayanara. They married like in Los Angeles or something like that. So Dayanara had children. She was seeing him. Like, it was a hot mess. This is the part that TMZ. Y'all missed this part, TMZ. Add this part. You missed it.
To me, that you need to have that alone time, which she's never had.
You're 100% right. She does. She did. They both need it. 100%. She's a love and sex addict. Look at the men she's with. She can't.
So in the documentary, there is this like intervention that happens with JLO and her friends, right? The greatest love story never told, or ever told. I always mess that up. I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all. I always mess that up. I'm sorry. Okay. She, like, there's a scene where everybody, like, she's coming home from like a party or wherever with this guy, and everybody is around her and they're like doing an intervention for her. And these people are supposed to symbolize like the horoscopes, right? These are horoscopes, and they're seeing all the wrong stuff that she's doing. And believe it or not, the Sagittarius one out of this whole thing is the wise one. I'm a Sagittarius. Shout out to the Sagittarius. We know what we're talking about. Shit. Let's go. Give us more credit. But anyways, so they ask her, they do this intervention because they believe she's like a sex addict, a love addict, some type of an addict, right? And, when you watch the actual This Is Me Now, the making of that movie, of the other movie, you start to unravel, you start to actually hear from Jennifer Lopez's side of like, okay, I was neglected by my father. Her father was a Scientologist, go figure. She was neglected. And she actually called her mother a narcissist in this movie, which is interesting because she spotted with her mom. I mean, she looks like she conversates with her moms well, but with her being, I think she was like the middle child, she always had to compete for attention. So this is the thing that she was doing, is that she was wanting attention. So it was easy for her to like do really well in certain sports area at school or academics or something, because she was always thriving for the next. But in actuality, none of that has ever fulfilled her, right? When Ben disclosed that, he recognizes that she's emotionally neglected, that no amount of likes, followers, or hearts on a picture is ever really going to make this woman whole, right? So that makes sense as far as the love addiction part, that she's a love addict, that she needs to be constantly with somebody. She can't be alone. And you know what's so crazy is like, she's really missing out. Being alone in a time where things have been turbulent, and just being alone in general. could really be a gift to her. You just never know what you can tap into, and you might actually be able to grieve everything that's been lost, all the marriages, all the relationships, all the whatevers, right? So just a thought, but let's keep going.
Can't be alone. She needs a man in her life. She has never spent any real time developing herself, and her career's in the and she's talented.
Thing is a love addict.
There are actually thousands of people engaged in 12-step programs who identify as love addicted.
True.
And the features of that include not great boundaries, that they tend to get sucked into relationships readily, easily, and what we would call falling hard for people. And once they go in, they can't get themselves.
Our ideas of addiction have included drugs and alcohol, but there isn't like a really good definitive answer about love addiction, what that looks like, who does it affect. And while I'm editing this, I had to add this. What I don't like about these doctors, the Dr. Phil's, Dr. Mann's, Dr. Sophie's, Dr. Drew's, is that they are giving, it's important to put out there that they're giving an opinion of what a love addiction looks like, that they're not diagnosing for that. But TMZ uses these people to give like a diagnosis or a blanket statement of what something like this would look like, which is great, but you guys aren't telling us anything that we don't already see. I just think that this is why these people lose credibility for me, is because they use their credentials to give a clinical opinion when they really can't. They really shouldn't be given any clinical opinions. Does that make sense? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Jennifer Lopez has put herself in that spotlight because of the damn documentary and the movie, you know?
The honeymoon. It lasts about a year and a half, give or take 6 months for most people.
Yeah, but these people have ridiculous amounts of money, so they can make it happen. They get married, they can get divorced. Married 9 months, divorce in the next. Married for a year, divorce in the next. Married for 2 years, divorce in the next. This is like, you can get a pink engagement ring and then, call it off 3 days later and then get married again. This is so typical of, she's got the money to dispose of people. Like, the thing about JLO is that her behavior has affected other people, other folks in her family, and now she's got children. Y'all don't think her children feel some type of way about this? I bet they do. They may not express it because they don't have the platform, right? They're following mom everywhere that they go, going where mom goes and doing the activities. But y'all don't think that this affects them? I think it does. I think separation, divorce, marriage, partner decisions, the parents' decisions affects them. So I do have a concern about that.
It's to maintain a relationship.
I'll give you a word for it. It's called quantum entanglement.
Explain.
You can't live without each other. Your leg is her leg, and his leg is this. It's called quantum entanglement.
But you can't maintain that.
You can if you continue to work and evolve. If you don't, you overload.
Lord have mercy. And this is the man that employed her for a movie. Y'all, we've already diagnosed JLo as a love addict, quantum entanglement. Is that what he said? Is that how you say that? I'm so here for it. I know I'm making fun, but y'all, let me be, okay? Let me be.
So you'll see a picture that gets picked up in the newspaper, in a magazine or something, and one will have a frown, or one will be walking a little further behind the other one. Then all of a sudden, that starts a whole frenzy of speculation. And then,
well, I will say, when he grabbed the door and he was like, psh, and then he just walks away, he looks pissed. Yeah, I mean, he didn't look too happy. He never looks happy. But then again, here's this guy, probably totally not into the media, very private, and the media hasn't been very nice to him either. I can understand where, he's not happy to have all this paparazzi stuff, where he's had to give in to that, because there has been a conversation about that. She likes that attention. He really doesn't. And like I said, a lot of this is going to get old for him. He's not going to want to do this for too long. He may do it now to compromise, but he ain't going to do this shit for too long.
all of a sudden, it starts to take on a life of its own.
Case in point, Ben and Jen at the 2023 Grammys.
Yeah, I gotta go. All right, no, mom, it wasn't the actual devil. No, they were just dressed as the devil, Mom.
Ben looking kind of miserable set TikTok on fire.
I want to go home. I don't want to. I want to go home.
But it was by no means the first time Ben looked unhappy
I love
in
that.
public.
I have a very unhappy looking resting face. This is me content. That's how this is me amused. That's how God made me.
I'm sure you've seen
He wasn't like that though. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking of Good Will Hunting. I'm thinking of back in those days. Like, was he always like this? Let me know in the chat. Was Ben always like that? I think it's funny though. I think it's funny that everybody's captured his face, and I mean, he's just not happy.
When Shen and I broke up before, the catalyst for that was this massive amount of scrutiny around our private life.
Yes, they had a lot of media scrutiny, but they were also very public about their relationship. He took
So, if they initially broke up because of media scrutiny, what's going to be different now? Because there's still a lot of media scrutiny. If anything, I think it's gotten maybe worse for them.
took ads out in the Hollywood Reporter when he was courting her, saying what a great actress she was. They did a music video, Jenny on the Block, where he was grabbing her butt and they were showing all this PDA. Interesting that they would pass off the failure of the relationship to media scrutiny.
Yeah. It is.
I think it's an excuse. I think it's to say that one accepting of the media, one loved it and lavished it, whereas the other one wanted more privacy. That's what it was. Like, they let this get in between them then. Now it seems like that's what it is too. It's either Ben accepts it or he doesn't. And like I said, I think that he has somewhat agreed to it, but I don't think he really is like married all the way to it. I don't think he's all the way accepted it. I think if anything, he's just pleasing her. He gives me people pleaser type of personality.
Didn't have to do this. I didn't even have to make the record. It's not like anybody's clamoring for the next JLO record. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Nobody cares about the next JLO record. Not one with her vocals in it, at least. I don't know. I know that was me, but I'm just being honest.
We're just two people with kind of different approaches trying to learn to compromise.
I have a lot of thoughts about that, but like I said, he's compromised to a certain degree, but has he really? Because he's still not for the media, y'all. He's not. I mean, you could just see it, you guys.
Way too hard for the cameras, like Jen's monster-in-law co-star, Jane Fonda.
First of all, I want you to know that I don't entirely know why, but I feel invested in you and Ben. I really want this to work. However, this is my concern. Like, it feels too much like you're trying to prove something instead of just living it.
I don't know. I think Jane Fonda's onto this one here. Like, you're doing too much and you're trying too hard. And now you're even trying harder to make it seem like everything's okay. You got people reporting on nobody's really divorcing the house. We just gonna sell it. Oh, even though we only live there for not even a year. The house is too far away. It's only 65 or 6.1 million or whatever the hell it was. Like, this is too much. And she tries too hard.
Is that a mistake in a relationship, to be that public and show that intense love when marriage can never reach that level on any consistent basis?
You know, maybe JLo is just in love with being in love, right? Because that would be like a love addict, right? She's in love with the physical aspect of it. To be in love with somebody would be to be in love through the good or bad, right? The no money, the yes money, the being able to handle the in between. But for her, it seems like her love is so physically, like she's physical about her love, and maybe that's how she feels like it should be, or at least maybe that's her vision of love, is that you're always touching, you're always in harmony with the person. But it's not always like that when you love somebody. You're not always in harmony with the person. Sometimes you can't even stand the person, because that is what trials and tribulations are in a marriage or in love, right? But I mean, just a thought.
When 20 years ago, you claim that the thing that destroyed your relationship was being in the public eye, to choose to then do a romance tour like that and basically put your relationship out there for everyone to scrutinize and tear apart is probably not the best idea. Like, we're supposed to learn from our mistakes.
And she's had at least 4 marriages. Now, listen, I had to Google search this because I was kind of curious. Did y'all know that Liz Taylor married like 8 times? Just married 8 times. Maybe, I don't know, like JLO will probably be the next Liz Taylor, and Liz Taylor was a very beautiful woman too. Now, TMZ, was Liz Taylor also a love addict like JLO? Are we saying that too? Because she had like 8 marriages. Like, in reality, JLO could probably marry another 4 times, right? Like, I'm just thinking out loud. That's all.
His alcoholism really affected their marriage in a negative way. And Jennifer Lopez, it struck me that she started an alcohol company, a spritzer company.
I have been grinding.
Dalola, y'all. She started Dalola, and now that's such a good point. So how is he checking up on this, or how is he doing this? Because that can't be a good. First of all, it's not a good look for an alcohol company. It's not drink responsibly. Yeah, that would be the ad. That would be all over the place. But damn, like
She's doing that around Ben, who's an alcoholic.
It doesn't make common sense. You would never want to give an alcoholic a job in a bar. You just don't set things up that way. And it is difficult if people haven't.
Now, I don't like Dr. Phil, but I would agree with that. None of that is, I mean, maybe they're just not drinking at home. Maybe this is just a job thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a job thing. She sits around her friends and she does her Dalola, and Ben is somewhere else, not in the vicinity, while she's enjoying her bottle of Dalola, sitting on top of the table with her friends all over her.
He may have given her permission for that. People in recovery are fine with things like that because they understand people use alcohol who are not alcoholics. But if he's struggling, that's kind of a bad feel to it, doesn't it?
It does make you wonder, though, the kind of relationship, right? If she's a alleged love addict, right, and he's an alcoholic, sounds like they might be codependent with each other. You never know. I'm just saying, throwing that out there.
You learn about it and you create an atmosphere in your home that is conducive to sobriety, and you are willing to forego deals. You're willing to make sacrifices, because part of having a good marriage is making sacrifices.
All right, let me stop right here. And I feel like this TMZ investigates. So far, I've reviewed a couple of clips here and there, and of course I have to edit things out and everything, but I feel like a lot of this isn't really, it's catering towards a certain narrative, right? And I get it that, Ben is an alcoholic. I get it. And she's got an alcohol company. But I have to point this out that, she is also not responsible for his sobriety. However, they are married. So she would have to sacrifice some of these things. Like, you don't drink when your partner's around, that type of deal. We don't know what that looks like. Maybe the alcohol thing is the company is just to make money. It's like a lingerie line or a clothing line. I don't necessarily feel like it's a sense of betrayal, because I don't know what measures or what they've agreed to have. But I do feel like a lot of their commentary has been catered towards one way and not the other way. Like, can we think about how Ben is also responsible for his sobriety? He is. He's responsible, not JLO. Ben is. So if he decides to relapse, that wouldn't necessarily be on Jen. Of course, there's a lot of pressure, and she might be a catalyst to it, but it's not always her fault. So something to think about.
But another way that happens is the partner, in this case it'd be Jennifer, really gets involved in her recovery from her love addiction, codependency. And if he, in this case Ben, really values the relationship, he will change to keep up with her.
See, and this is where I have a problem with Dr. Drew. He basically says she needs to get help for X, Y, and Z. Have you just not diagnosed her? We're seeing a lot of this in the public eye, and we can give criticism and commentary to it. But what we can't do, and this is why I side-eye a lot of these professionals that work with TMZ, is because then they start throwing like blanket diagnoses out there. we don't know what else is going on, right? And so to me, this is where they lose credibility for that.
John says the top dog always puts the other in their place. He learned that from Streisand.
We were up in Aspen and we were riding on the gondola and we were coming down and I went, we got money. I love your. We're so happy. She said, wait a minute. What are you saying? She said, no, I'm rich. You're not. She said to me, it was like.
Is Ben and JLO, are they like, is one making more money than the other? I mean, where are they at? Like, that's kind of curious about that. Like, if they were to divorce, what that would look like. Did they both put money for this big mansion? This, what is it, $61 million mansion that they got? Like, did they both put money for it, or was it one person? Like, how did that look like? Makes you kind of wonder.
Ben's kids have been through a lot, and it's got to be incredibly painful and difficult for all of those kids to get attached to people and then see them go.
They already don't have a normal life. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing normal with their children. And then you have all these people that follow in paparazzi anywhere. Like, there is no normal with them. What does normal look like for them? I feel for those kids.
The extraordinary thing about the human being is the very thing that would have happened or that we dreaded in our own childhood, we tend to create that for our own children. It's just the intergenerational cycles. Unless something intervenes to break it, it is really uncanny how often it is the case that the thing we want to avoid the most for our children is what we end up recreating for our own.
And
that's a good point. As much as I don't like Dr. Drew, that's a good point. It makes you wonder if when JLo being what she has shared about her childhood, if she has done the same to her own children. Has she been present?
So all signs point to divorce. So what are their lives going to be like as they presumably enter the world of being single again?
It's a crazy question. They're going to be separated. She's going to date again. He's going to move on. That's how it's going to be like.
So moving forward, how does someone bounce back after multiple divorces? JLo's not only untying the knot a fourth time, she's dealing with some major career struggle.
I love how TMZ is so concerned about her bouncing back. Like, it's so concerning, y'all. How does somebody bounce back? Listen, she'll be fine. She'll be fine. She'll figure it out. She always has. Lord have mercy.
Her career needs to change. I told Benny Medina, her manager, she needs to sell everything, get a rented house, get a beautiful house, and move to Nashville and do a country and western album. You'll be a monster. You got every young guy.
Wait a minute. So she gonna move to Tennessee and do a whole new album? As long as she's singing her own songs.
Don't need a record company. I'll put up all the money. We'll own it. She'll go out there, bang. I hope she hears this.
Hold up, time out. So this guy's gonna front the album. Harvey, where did you find this guy? Like, this whole little thing is very comical to me, y'all. I'm just saying. Just saying. I mean, you think JLo would take him up on him? She probably would. I don't know. It's a deal. Just saying.
And when one relationship doesn't work, alone time for reflection is essential for the next relationship. There's a lot Ben and Jen can reflect on. Lots of missed warning signs. And maybe that will make their next relationships go the distance.
I hope this video gets monetized, but let me just say this. These are just a couple of clips in my reaction fair use commentary that I've provided. I think TMZ is a joke, in my opinion. This TMZ investigates. They bring in, these doctors and give commentary about different things. And they brought some producer guy that JLo did a film with. Let me just say this, all right? At the end of the day, they're going to do what they're going to do. And they're going to be fine because they have the money to be fine. They'll be fine. Everything will be fine. What TMZ investigates provided, in my opinion, wasn't anything different that a lot of the YouTuber channels out there that have been exposing a lot of what JLo has done have already provided. I really wished it would have gotten into the weeds with the Diddy thing, but they didn't. I was hoping for maybe new information to shed light into some things, but they didn't. They got into this whole relationship with Ben. And the thing is, at the end of the day, like a year from now, 2 years from now, I don't know how much of this is really going to matter. I feel for their kids. I really do. I feel like Ben and JLO are two very selfish people that are about themselves, and they've never really thought about anybody but themselves. When they got together for their children, that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll see you guys on the next one. Rabbits out. Bye, guys.